On February 26, 2023, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Nashville Predators completed one of the weirdest trades in recent NHL memory. The Lightning received big winger Tanner Jeannot from the Preds in exchange for Foote, and a first-round pick, and a second-round pick, and a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick? Now listen, Tanner Jeannot is a solid NHL player, and the Tampa Bay Lightning have an insanely impressive track record of trading for undervalued players and taking on reclamation projects. So I'm not ready to write this off as an awful trade, but even at the time of this deal, fans, reporters, and executives around the league were scratching their heads at this blockbuster move from the Bolts. Let's dive deeper into the career progression of Tanner Jeannot, what the Predators got in return, and most importantly, why in the world this trade was made. But first, hit that subscribe button. The early response to these videos has been awesome, but subscribing will show me that you really want to see more. Tanner Jeannot is your prototypical big-bodied player from Saskatchewan. The 6'2", 210-pound winger born in May 1997, played 4 years in the Western Hockey League for the Moose Jaw Warriors with pretty good growth each year. He went from 5 points in 52 games as a WHL rookie to 33 in 72 as a sophomore, 52 in 71 in his third season, and then scored 40 goals, 40 assists for 80 total points in his final WHL season. After a strong finish to his junior career in 2017-2018, the Nashville Predators inked the undrafted forward to an entry-level contract on April 2nd, 2018. The Oxbow Ox, his name after the town he was born in and his physical playstyle, was finally ready to make the jump to pro hockey. Jeannot spent the entirety of the 2018-2019 season in the American Hockey League with the Predators affiliate, the Milwaukee Admirals. He ended up with 11 points in 37 games, not bad for a first season in pro hockey. The next season, he actually spent time with both the Admirals in the AHL and the Florida Everblades in the East Coast Hockey League. He had 5 points in 3 games in the ECHL and 20 points in 57 games in the AHL with a new career high of 87 penalty minutes. The following year, 2020-2021, he actually completed the rare trifecta of playing in the ECHL, AHL, and NHL in the same season. Jeannot broke out, tallying 6 points in 5 ECHL games, 21 points in just 13 AHL games, and an impressive 5 goals, 2 assists in his first 15 career NHL games. Despite me saying that he broke out this season, it was actually the next season, 2021-2022, that Tanner Jeannot really popped onto the scene. 24 goals, 17 assists for a total of 41 points and 130 penalty minutes in 81 games. He finished 7th in the Calder Trophy for his first full NHL season. Now, it was a pretty weird year for rookies. Jeannot led them all in goals with 24, narrowly beating out the likes of Cole Caulfield, Michael Bunting, Trevor Zegras, and Lucas Raymond, who all had exactly 23 goals. He finished 8th in points overall. Surprisingly, Bunting led the way with 63, but at the end of the day, it was young D-man Moritz Seider who took home the hardware as Calder Trophy winner. After a very impressive rookie season, expectations were high coming into the 2022-2023 season, the final year of Jeannot's entry-level deal. Unfortunately, though, Jeannot didn't perform nearly to the level that he had the year prior. He had a 21.7% shooting percentage in his first crack at the NHL. In his 24-goal season, he had a 19.5% shooting percentage, but this time around, he recorded a much lower 5.7% shooting percentage in 56 games with the Predators. He ended the season with 5 goals and 9 assists for 14 points in those 56 games, and Nashville, they'd seen enough. They sold high on the young forward, very high. Well, not high in terms of his performance, but high in terms of the price, and shipped him to Tampa Bay for Foote and 5 draft picks. We'll get into the trade a little bit more soon, but let's keep rolling through his career to date. When Jeannot got to Tampa, things didn't quite go as planned. He dressed in 20 games for the Bolts, recording only 4 points and going -6 on a good team pushing for playoff seeding. He saw his ice time drop significantly from over 15 minutes a night in Nashville to just 11 minutes and 50 seconds a night in Tampa. Jeannot injured his right leg in early April against the Islanders and sat out roughly 2 weeks as the team headed towards the playoffs. He was considered day-to-day and ended up playing 3 of Tampa's 6 playoff games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, recording 0 points, 3 shots, and 5 penalty minutes. There was a lot of debate over whether he was a true scratch or whether he just wasn't healthy enough to play, but either way, the fact that he sat Game 5 and Game 6 for Mikey Eyssimont, both elimination games for the Bolts, caught a lot of people by surprise. Going back and reading Sportsnet's Luke Fox and Elliot Friedman's reports on the series, it seems he was too banged up to play Game 5, but for Game 6, head coach John Cooper played Eyssimont instead of Jeannot, saying he really liked what Eyssimont brought to their line in Game 5, and the lines had gone a little bit stale before that. All in all, the big trade deadline acquisition certainly did not work out for this playoff run. That's right, he recorded 4 points while the Bolts traded 5 picks and a prospect for him. Following the end of the year, Jeannot was a restricted free agent as he just wrapped up his entry-level contract. He signed a 2-year contract with the Bolts, earning $2.665 million each season. He came into the 2023-2024 season both healthy and motivated, but as of this recording, currently sits at 13 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, -4 on the season, and 20 penalty minutes. He's averaging just over 12 minutes of ice per game, not seeing too much special teams time, and the last 3 games have actually been 10 minutes of ice time or less. He looks decent individually so far to me, and I actually like his current line of Jeannot, Anthony Cirelli, and Eyssimont. As a third line, they're pretty responsible. They get a ton of D-zone starts from head coach John Cooper and actually have a Corsi for percentage of 53%. The stats don't tell the full story here for me with Jeannot. He's a physical freak and he actually skates better than people give him credit for. He currently is in the 91st percentile of all NHLers when it comes to the number of speed bursts over 20 miles an hour, according to NHL Edge. The other stat that looks really good for Tanner Jeannot on NHL Edge is his high danger shots on goal, as 14 of his 20 shots on goal to date are from right in front of the goalie's crease. If he can keep driving the net with speed and parking on the doorstep for rebounds and deflections, he'll more than likely surpass his current career high of 41 points on the season. So now that we've ran through Jeannot's career to date, let's go deeper into the trade. What did Tampa get? They got a player who scored goals at a crazy rate in his first year and a half in the National Hockey League. They got a physical presence that we know teams covet, especially on a perennial playoff team like Tampa. They got a versatile player. His speed and tenacity can be used in several different places in the lineup, and he can play both special teams if needed. Lastly, they got a player with control, which Tampa desperately needed. Somebody with RFA status, so their trade deadline acquisition wasn't just a rental, but rather someone who could stick around longer. On the flip side, what did Nashville get? A king's ransom would be dramatic, but they sure got a lot. A lot of people in the game of hockey felt that it was not too much different than the New Jersey Devils package that got Timo Meier from the San Jose Sharks. They paid a 2023 first-round pick, which ended up being Quentin Musty, a 2024 second, a 2024 seventh, and 3 young, strong players. The Lightning gave up a lot less in terms of prospects, but gave up more in terms of picks. It was a 2025 first-round pick, which is top 10 protected, a 2024 second-round pick, and then 3 picks in 2023, which have been used. They took Dylan McKinnon with the 3rd-round pick, Jason Sagabe with the 4th-round pick, and Kevin Bicker with the 5th-round pick. They also got Cal Foote in the deal, as I mentioned. He was once a highly touted D-man, the 14th overall selection in the 2017 NHL entry draft, but after 24 games and just 4 points on the Preds blue line, the Preds let him walk this past summer. So my review of the trade package as it stands today, it was a lot to give up. It's way too early to say the Jeannot project hasn't worked out in Tampa. He brings a lot of intangibles and he's looked solid so far this year. But at the same time, it's also too early to see if any of the picks traded to Nashville will turn into legitimate NHL players. All we can go off is what's on paper. And on paper, it was a very high cost to pay for somebody who has not been able to consistently provide offense at the NHL level. Again, on the flip side though, it was a player whose contract could be controlled and someone the Bolts were and are banking on finding his offensive stride and getting back to the shooting percentages he first posted in Nashville. All the while, continuing to be one of the more menacing power forwards in the Eastern Conference. Tanner Jeannot will never be a bad NHL player. He's engaged physically every shift and can use his size extremely well. He's smart, he plays well defensively, and he does have a serious nose for the net along with a solid shot. The Lightning are known as a savvy front office who can somehow find value everywhere. However, less than a year into the trade, I am quite confident in saying that this is one of the weirdest trades in recent NHL history. Such a big package for such a small sample size. Let me know what you think down below. Will this trade work out for the Lightning like their recent deals for Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul have? Or was this a crazy overpay to the Predators?